Hello, everybody. Good day to you. Golly, what a day in the markets. But we're going to get over it. Whether it's rain, shine, good day, bad day, we're always here 12 p.m. Central Standard Time to see what's going on in crypto. I mean, wow, we've got a lot to cover. We've got a ton of stuff to cover today. The market looks extremely rough, guys. I know this can be tough. I know it can be tough mentally. I know it can put strain on family. It can put strain on everything, and I wish I could say that, something looked bright up ahead, but what we're going to go over today is a lot. And we're going to go over what's happening in the market. Vitalik selling a whole bunch. Trump and them selling. Is Binance insolvent? That's a rumor that's been going around. We know the files have caused a lot of FUD. Guys, we're going to get into a lot of stuff. But as always, I am not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. And always, do your own research. Come on, guys. We got a DYOR. Before we get started, if you're joining me over on YouTube, make sure to click the subscribe button and the bell notification. It helps me a lot and it keeps you up to date with everything I'm dropping, whether it's these long form videos or the live streams or even the shorts that we put out. And if you're over on X, make sure to drop a follow there. I post a lot there. I post a ton. But before we do get started, I just want to say shout out to our sponsor, Blofin. It wouldn't be possible without them. There is a campaign going on, as you can see right here on the screen. And if you're on X, I have it pinned to my profile, as well as it'll be in the description on YouTube, guys. So, wow. A lot of stuff happening in the markets. If we just look at this, you would have expected some type of relief, right? Like, I mean, didn't have my coffee today, but you would have expected some type of relief. And this is sugar-free, by the way. I like the sugar-free ones. It tastes just like the regular ones. But you would have expected some type of strength to be shown, something like we have had literally like no substantial bounce from the point of the breakout of this bear flag to now, which has now swept last cycle's all-time lows, and it's or all-time high. I mean, excuse me. So a very, very, very weird time. We've got traditional finance kind of tanking on us a little bit. If we look at the jobs report, it came in low. Layoffs were huge. As y'all know, I went full time at the end of last year. I was a chemical engineer. A lot of you know that. And I actually left my company via a layoff. They were doing layoffs, and I kind of volunteered for that. But nonetheless, they were having to cut cost. I mean, look at this. If we come over here to the CNBC article, private payrolls rose by just 22K in January. It would have been negative if it wasn't for a surge of 74,000 hires in the education and health service. The total was less than the downwardly revised 37K. But let's see who's here, man. What's going on, brother? Crazy stuff. Luke, what's up? Binance insolvent? Where? I know I don't want to believe it, and I don't think it's true. I think there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt coming up, but we're going to cover what people are saying and everything like that. Look how low it's gone past 2022. I know. Flush out the longs retail. Haven't we flushed them? I mean, every time I look at the news or something, or these posts, it's like 100 billion liquidated out of the markets. It's like how much liquidity is there to liquidate? Like, aren't these dudes gone? Did you do this to the market? No, I'm a victim of the market, man. I was saying in the Discord earlier, guys, that you can find a link down below to that, where we always talk about all kinds of stuff. And it's just really good to be a part of a community, right? But I was talking in here how what I paid for my house 6 years ago, my net worth has went down more than that in just the last few months. I thought this was funny. Y'all know that meme, right? You know that one. But like I said, it's like 49 bucks a month. So if you're interested, if not, no pressure. But I'm constantly in there and stuff. But guys, it's yeah, it's rough. So we're gonna break this down. We're gonna get into Vitalik selling. Vitalik's been who's the founder of Ethereum has went on a rampage, and it's like the absolute worst timing. Why would you do this now? I tweeted at him earlier. I was like, dude, shut up, just shut up. You know, he kind of came out and said layer twos aren't needed, like Arbitrum base, all that. He's coming out saying even more. He's dumping ETH, or the ETH Foundation's dumping ETH for like, I don't know what he's gonna do, like donate to like penguins over somewhere. I mean, I don't know. But we're gonna get into it. But you can't help but think, if you are ingrained in crypto like I am, if you believe in cryptocurrency like I do, if you believe in blockchain technology, that we're going to bounce back. You can't help but think that. And I honestly do think that. And we went over the last couple of days in the live stream, and if you're new here, I really appreciate you joining, but how there's been a lot of fluff in the markets, and I think some of that needs shaken out. And so if there's anything y'all want me to look at, let me know. Drop a comment and make sure y'all share the stream so we can get as many people in here as possible and really spread the Finance Freeman family. I think we're building a really tight, good community here, and it's something I'm extremely proud of and couldn't be more grateful. But when you're looking at this fear and greed index of 11, like holy smokies, altcoin season index, it's like they just need to remove this. Like, what's an altcoin? I'm just joking. Crypto market cap, I mean, look at this. If you're talking about 4.2, guys, we're almost 50% of the crypto market cap that we were just in October. Like before you took your kids trick-or-treating, we're about half of that. It's absolutely crazy. Crypto ETFs net flows, when you look, perpetuals, which I want to get into the effect that perpetual futures has had on crypto. I've seen a really good tweet about it. And I hope that's never financial advice, because Finance Freeman doesn't give financial advice, right? I'm just a random guy on YouTube. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, drop some comments down. We got a lot. Yeah, good morning to all, guys. Let me drop something for my people real quick. But so yeah, it's tough though. The ETFs are, obviously dumping. We have the DATs that are kind of unwinding. MicroStrategy, what's going on with MicroStrategy? It's it's getting bad. It's getting bad. But typically, when everyone thinks it's over, that's the best times historically. If we look at these DATs, digital asset treasury companies, basically MicroStrategy and all the copycats, you could see that it's a lot. 1.2 mil of the Bitcoin, 5.59% of the supply, with like 3.5% of that being MicroStrategy. And if you just to put that in perspective, that's approximately what Satoshi holds. So to Satoshi's wallet. So it's a ton. Like MicroStrategy right here, 60. Yeah, we definitely are. Look at this, Mara Holdings. They actually started mining Kaspa a while back. 21 Capital, that's Jack Mara, I believe, or maybe it's this one. But we're going to go over. But this is something that has to do with how overall perpetual futures has really changed the game. Let's see. I heard that there is always really bad pain in the market before a big bull run. Yeah, I mean you gotta have pain to have the good times, right? Nothing in life is all good. Nothing lasts forever. This is what I've learned, is that in bad times, I often tell myself this too shall pass. And in good times, you've got to tell yourself that too. This too shall pass. Life's not always gonna be great. Life's not always going to be bad. You just have to make it through those times and just realize what it's all about. And so with finance, it's the same way in my perspective. You're not always going to be in a bull market. You're not always going to be in a bear market. But like I've always said, my ideology is that I make my money in the bear market. because it's not about necessarily when I exit. It's about how I acquired it, where I acquired it. I have this post that I've shared that we can come right here and I'll find it. But, BTC was 95K, not too long ago. And with that, just think if I would have bought back then, today I could buy, 33% more Bitcoin. Look at this. This is Grant Cardone. I think he's kind of shaking in his boots. He keeps posting about BTC going down and he keeps buying. He even reached out to Sailor like a week ago and he was like, Sailor, when's the bottom? Something like that. And I was like, when your dad buys his first, 10 sats or something, he posts a selfie, got a Bitcoin shirt on. Like this kind of looks like peak exit liquidity. I'm not going to lie. You have MicroStrategy start off with the first digital asset treasury company, right? And then you had all these other people want to come hop in on it, right? Like Grant Cardone, he's a, very rich, very successful real estate guy, but then he came into the crypto scene. It kind of seems like exit liquidity, and I think that's kind of a big part of it is that you had a lot of people early in the BTC community that they, when they seen the ETFs, the liquidity was there to finally tap in, and to finally be able to take massive profits. Hey buddy, I see you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. But these rumors, I don't know who this page is. Let's look at it. Okay, so it was created in January 2026. So maybe this is a part of like a FUD campaign, right? But it got 300,000 views. Binance is definitely, and this is all alleged, right? Insolvent. Record 22 bill in outflows over last week. Usage at the lowest in 4 years. Binance suing anyone saying it's insolvent. CZ suing anyone calling him a scammer. Binance secretly sold 1 bill in BTC from Seifu Fund. So I have not been able to verify that last part, but there's been a whole bunch of stuff. If you just look at like CZ, a whole bunch of fake stuff that people have been putting out. Let's see what Jake said. The FUD campaigns are real. I received this DM this morning. It was offered $20K to FUD Binance and CZ and to lie and say that I sold all my Aster, posting this for awareness. Shout out to Jay Gagan, man. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, mate, our team would like to offer you $20K for one post on X. We would like you to QT, like quote tweet it, and include this message. Man, that's what's weird is that a lot of these big BNB Binance pages, they've obviously took the money. CZ, you could accept the $20K, post what they requested, job done, then post the clarification. You held up your end of the bargain. Joking, of course, don't sell your soul for $20K. Respect, brother, keep grinding. I like Jake. I do. We've talked in DMs before. I've been on his podcast representing Turbo Toad community a long time ago. Seems like a good guy. Sometimes gets a bad rap, but overall, I mean, there's definitely a big campaign going on, and you could see all of this. Like, look, these are all fake, right? Like CZ Binance just unblocked me to DM. And if anyone's here, like, what is Binance? It's the #1 crypto exchange in the world. CZ is the creator of BNB. So BNB is what, the 4th or 5th largest cryptocurrency in the world. And so here's another one. Andy, this guy right here. He says that he used to follow me. Why'd you unfollow me, dude? What's going on? It says that, the same thing, that they're wanting to offer people that to, FUD. This is CZ saying that, CZ got a pardon from the president. What's the truth behind it? Who knows? But like, this is really weird to see these people that are very big in the BNB community that say, hey, I've decided to close my Binance account. And what's funny is that the Kaspa community was doing this way before, but they were doing it for different reasons. They were doing it because they don't feel that, that they list really good things, and they only do it if you get paid and things like that. And Binance has never listed Kaspa. They listed it on futures and it crashed. And so that's where I want to get into this. This is a post by this Bob Kindle guy, the Kindle report, and it's very interesting when we break this down. Jake is an amazing guy. Yeah, I like him. Yeah, so this is talking about how futures affect or perps have affected the overall, crypto landscape. If you just go back a few years ago, there wasn't like no such thing, right? Perpetual futures trading. And it's very, very, it can, a lot of people get liquidated. You have to be able to use good stop loss. And that's things that I try to show in the Discord. But you can see that with perps is kind of synthetically manufacturing the supply. Asset is no longer scarce, and once scarcity is gone. And so let's break this down right here. It says Bitcoin's entire valuation logic was built on a finite supply of 21 mil BTC. Okay, but that stopped when there was now cash settled futures. Remember, guys, we want a Wall Street. Wall Street is here. Perpetual swaps, options, ETFs, prime broker lending, wrap BTC, and total return swaps. They were layered on top of the chain. And so what he's basically saying is once you can synthetically manufacture the supply, the asset is no longer scarce. And once scarcity is gone, price becomes a derivatives game. It's 100% true. It has become a derivatives game. Now, you could say that's bad. You could say that's good. It definitely opens up a lot. But there's no denying that. Seriously, look at this. This is a chart going back to 2024 on Blofin. And you could see on the daily, we always held this RSI. And we've just wicked under it huge. If we come to like even a larger time frame and go to the weekly, you could see, look at that. It's like way below 27. So there is no signs of anybody waiting to buy the dip. If we come look at the other assets, we can see, oh, don't freeze on me, dude. Okay. If we come look at ETH under 2K, where's Salami at? Solana. Oh my gosh. Wow. Solana, 82 doll hairs. Wow, that is kind of crazy. But if we were looking for a slither of, good news, you can see Ted right here posted 273 mil in BTC buy orders have been placed between 60 and 68K level on Binance. We have now entered the high demand zone. It will all be liquidated. Don't worry. 40K loading and lower, this guy says. So, yeah, I'm not sure if this is spot or if this is like futures pricing. But that, again, goes back to what Bob was saying over here about the synthetically, created asset, essentially. It's not finite anymore. But when we're looking here, and I like to show this, because this is Binance, BTC, and USDT. And this is basically where people would be liquidated at. And so if you're somebody that's like a market maker and stuff, you try to grab liquidity, or at least that's the theory behind it. You can see, there's not a ton underneath. And so you can see over here the different levels. So this bright yellow is like a lot of liquidity. And then this area is like very, very little, right? But you can see there's liquidity right above here. Then if we get up to this level, 71K, it's a lot of liquidity, 73, 74. And if we go back even further, this is just 24 hours back. If we go back 6 months, you could see the thought pockets of where liquidity would be, where it would be sitting, and things like that. Let's see here. Learning. Thank you. Yeah, man. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to educate. Educate. But wow, sold $82. That's pretty crazy. Let's go look at Solana last cycle and kind of look at taking all-time high or all-time look at Solana, because as I've stated before, it's really hard to just look at Solana as a price. You really have to look at it as market cap, since it's an inflationary token. It's an inflationary project. So if you look, Solana is currently at this level of support. And there is really no other support anywhere to be found except for here and then here, basically. And so that's like 82.50 and $14. But if we come over here and switch to market cap, it's a little better of a picture, because you can actually see the money in the ecosystem. And so you could see now it's all the way down to 57 bill, which is pretty crazy. And so this is like a very big level for Solana to hold. Or let me put this one because that goes all the way. If I put this horizontal one. So you can see that's basically this cycle's, liquidity support. And right here. And there's not much underneath it. I guess you could say price discovery on the downside, but it's definitely hard out there. It's definitely a lot. Let's take a look. XRP $1.22. What? Look at this. Oh my gosh. One thing, XRP community ain't going away. They're going to be there forever. But wow. I mean, it seems almost like $1's come in and 50 cents. And yeah, I mean, if there's anyone that thinks we're not in a bear market, let me know. So big disappointment. What do you mean by that? What do you mean exactly that that in a bear market or disappointment? XRP to 1K. When do you think that's going to happen? When do you think that's going to happen? I'm guessing you think that in the belief that the ledger is going to have global asset adoption, like ISO 20022 adoption. I absolutely hope it happens. And this is the 75 bill market cap, guys. This isn't like a drop in the bucket by no means. When do you think it's going to happen? Next week? Oh, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. This is crazy though. Looking at this, just look at this weekly chart. 21% overall for the top 20. Pretty crazy. Tron only down 5%. Like I said, don't trust this at all. Sorry if you got back feed, but yeah, that's crazy. Let's look. Canton holding up very well. This real world asset project. This is one that I'm hoping that it gets a dip, right? It's not immune to what we're going through, because if it does, it's something that I'm very, very interested in personally. Never financial advice, but let's go take a look at like Kaspa, or Hyperliquid holding up pretty well, but obviously a lot of people do trading on Hyperliquid. Chainlink $8.27. That's pretty crazy. Chainlink, I like to say it's kind of like the glue. It's kind of like the glue in the overall crypto ecosystem, right? This is how an oracle that everything gets the price feeds, and but guys, a lot of these charts are bad looking. Like, I mean, you could easily try to say this is boom, 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 or let's bring that down a little bit, but you get the point. Like, it definitely kind of looks like Head and Shoulders printing all over this. Let's see if we go down. Litecoin $52. Wow, what was it at this cycle? Yeah, 150. Yeah, a lot of pain, guys. A lot of pain. Pepe. Let's take a look at that, because we know this is the meme that really started off everything this cycle, and you could see it's just fell beneath every level of support. Like, that was basically the level of support, and so currently it's kind of at this high from way back when, right here, but it's definitely not looking like we got to turn around anytime soon. Internet Computer 232. ICP, that's back here to under these levels. Wow. Is that an all-time low? Wow, I think that's an all-time low for the Internet Computer. All these memes. Yeah, what's funny is that I was actually talking about this in the Discord, because if you look, there's this one running now. What is it? Whitewell, right? Like, this thing did super well, retraced to the 886 fib level, and now it's going up. But then I was looking and I seen that it's actually available over here. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Whitewell. Yeah, right here. And so it's definitely something that I am looking at and might even open. Dang, what's happening? Might even open something after this stream because, like you said, it's not looking good. So why would something be immune? What is going on? Okay, it's spot. Okay, so they don't have futures. Oh, I wish they did. Okay, maybe they do. Maybe they do. I need to look at that a little closer. But yeah, it's just look, if we search by 24 hours, what is there? What is fight? Like, what is this? What is this? I mean, it's been on a rampage, but going up major 1 hour time frame. Oh, I guess time frame, kind of look like it, but still it's up, almost double or almost 50%. So wow, all-time low for the internet computer. That's very interesting. Ondo, if you're looking at Ondo, this is, tokenizing of all the real world assets, tokenizing stocks, and it's literally back here to this level right here. Dang near. Like this is a flush. This is a .com bubble type flush, I think. And I explained this yesterday, but what I mean is we're at this valuation problem in crypto. Like Ondo, yes, it's tokenizing a whole bunch of stocks, right? All over the place. However, how does like the company behind Ondo tie together with the token? Like, and what is governance? And do people care about that? Because there's really nothing that ties them together. I mean, governance, maybe a little bit of fees, something like that. But that's the valuation problem that we have. And I think one reason why it's like this is because, the SEC forever was calling things securities. That's what hurt XRP back in the day, things like that. And now that's over with, but the token, like these tokens are already launched and stuff. And so how does that change? Does it change? Or do we need new ones that are able to, fit within legislative framework? And so I think with the Clarity Act coming out, I think that'll help a lot. I think a lot of people want that. Let's get over to some comments, guys. Let's see. This is why stick to utility coins. Even goes down, it will come back. IPO. Yeah. The good ones, right? I don't think everything's check Polkadot is so crazy down. Are you heavy into Polkadot? Let me know. We can definitely go take a look at it. Why'd they change their logo? It used to be like a bright pink logo, right? Why'd they change that? Maybe they thought it was too feminine or something, or people didn't like it, but I thought it was okay. So the new age of internet-enabled society, the way we connect, do business, and organize changing. Like, man, I don't see this thing coming back. Like, I could be completely wrong, but I don't know if a lot of people even use Polkadot. Like, here's their Explorer. Let's see if it gives us any type of volume. But you also have to be cognizant of, where the data's coming from that you're looking at, because it could be skewed or something like that to make something look good. Let's see, Polkadot. Yeah, that's the logo I'm used to. So 0 value and total value locked. 97 M in stable coins, which is weird because normally that would be considered total value locked. So I wonder, but this is a 2.16 bill market cap with less than 100 M in stable coins. Like, nobody's using this. Nobody. Like, I mean, it's just, sorry, but that's where we are. Like, nobody's using it, so yeah, I don't think it's coming back. I don't know. Could be wrong. Their financial advice. One I really love, Bitensor Tau. I think this is, I absolutely love it for a few reasons. One, proof of work. So it's being backed by real computing power, right? Similar tokenomics to BTC. So that gives some familiarity with things and people like that. Also, this is on-chain artificial intelligence, and I think that's something that we definitely need to demand. It's a little inflationary, right? It's proof of work, so it's inflationary to a certain extent, right? Eventually, all 21 mil Tau will be, in circulation, currently 50% circulation. So no different from BTC. They just went through their first halving, I believe, at the end of last year. But this is a really good one to look into on stream, I believe. So you can see BitTensor, and let me zoom in for y'all a little bit. BitTensor is an open source. Okay, so I think AI should be open source because a lot of big people like Elon Musk have said that, there's dangers in artificial intelligence. I think that's why OpenAI was originally supposed to be nonprofit. BitTensor is an open source platform where participants produce best-in-class digital commodities, including compute power, storage space, AI inference and training, protein folding, financial prediction markets, and more. So this is everything like that you could possibly imagine. BitTensor is composed of distinct subnets. Each subnet is an independent community of miners. So this is all proof of work, right? There's a ton of things backing it. And so, yes, this is definitely one I love, and I think it's a blessing for something like this to be dragged down with the rest of the market. Let's see. QNT, the real king. Yeah, we went over that yesterday. I like it. We can go look at it if you want. Let's see. Algorand. I mean, Algorand is a partner of the channel, but I absolutely love Algorand. And the reason I like it is because they've been doing a lot of stuff with real world assets, and they're really leaning heavy onto tokenization, whether it's, tokenization of like housing, real world assets with Lofty, payments and stable coins, supply chain, everything. There's even a new prediction market called Alpha Arcade, which is actually in third place with overall volume behind Kalshi and Polymarket. So very, very interesting to see, how low Algorand has gone. But like I said, I think we need a flush because there's a lot of projects that aren't building like that, right? There's a lot of projects like maybe Polkadot, things like that are taking up massive mind share, massive market share and stuff. Algo Sharia compliant in Dubai. Huh, that's good to know. I didn't know that. But let's go over Kaspa. I know I got a lot of Kaspa people, guys. 2.7 cents. How does that make the heart feel? Not too good, right? Not too good. If we take a look at it, I showed in a recent video that I was thinking we would go to the 886 fib level or see if that holds. This is something, if you back test it a lot, that you will see a lot of tokens, make it to that point. So we're coming up on it, 2.3 cents, but it's just hard to imagine anything is going to reverse before BTC, right? And there's just look at this. Wow. This is the weekly candles. It was hard. I had to swallow. It's just, golly, man, it's tough to see. But so we've swept last cycle's all-time low. So, if let's take a look into BTC, because I think it's important to track that and see where we could potentially be going. And so this is my analysis of BTC a while back. Okay. This is what I posted whenever it was. Yes, I am. He's asking if I'm holding any coins at the moment. Yes. Stable coins. No, I'm just joking. I am stabled up, pretty good. But so let's go. But no, I'm definitely hurting. I'm definitely hurting right now. But I've always been good at risk management, I'll say. So I've always been really good at risk management. I think that, I've learned over time to take initials out. Sometimes too conservative, maybe. At a 2x, I like to take my initials out. I like to ride the ride for free, if at all possible. And so that's something that I talk a lot about in my Discord is, to do that. Like the most valuable thing in a time like this is capital. And so if you're somebody that was able to preserve capital, you're the winner in any scenarios like this, whether it was, the tariff thing back then, whether it's this bear market, any of these bear markets, like people that were able to preserve capital are pretty good. So I am holding a lot of like Kaspa. I've got various other assets. We can do a full portfolio review on stream if y'all want, but a lot of them, like let's just go to like ArtBlock, for instance. I like to take initials out. I've also fumbled a big bag of ArtBlock a long time ago, but I just really like to not have to worry about things, and so that's kind of my strategy. But if we come up here, let's look at the simple moving average. So let's come to indicators, put SMA up here. And I like simple versus EMA, and I can go over the difference of those. Basically, simple weights all price the same. If you look at exponential moving average, it kind of weights recent price action more. So if you look at the EMA, the 200-week EMA, we're actually already underneath it. I think it was around 68K. But if you look at the SMA, which is what like Benjamin Cohen, someone I have a ton of respect for, and what I also follow is this right here. And so if we kind of go back all time and take a look at this, let me make it as big as I possibly can for y'all. How's that look? So if we come take a look at this, you can see that when we're above this, good times, right? But very few times have we went underneath it. But when we did go underneath it, you can see that we've held up thus far, and this is going back to 1600 BTC by this trend line right here. And so when we take a look at it, I can't help but, have an eye on this level right here. And right now, I'm believing the price to mine BTC is around 65, 70-ish K. And so historically, when miners are underwater, it doesn't last for long. Like people perceive that as a good value, right? It's like if this right here costs $30 to make and someone sells it to me for $20, I mean, right there, I can kind of say that's a win on my side. So the same thing when BTC reaches under the price of cost. And so you can see all of this looks like we are just coming into a date. Like we are about to have Valentine's Day, break out the champagne, break out the nice steak. Come on, give me a little filet mignon, give me a little bit of caviar. It looks like BTC is ready for a date with this. And what this is the long-term trend line going back from 2019, 2018, $1,600, okay, BTC. This is also the 200-week simple moving average and around the price to mine a Bitcoin. Like, let me know, does that make a lot of sense? Because when I'm looking at this, it almost makes too much sense. It literally almost makes too much sense. And, it's always hard to buy. It's always hard. Human psychology. If I go to the supermarket and I see that this is on sale for $1 a can, I might load up on 30 of them. I'm not questioning, well, why is this on sale? What's the expiration date? What's going on? But whenever assets are like this, it's hard. It's hard. But for the future of my children, I will buy a full BTC at this price. At this, I'm not saying you should do it. Never financial advice, just what I'm doing. But this is a level that even if we broke below it, I just would feel good about that. I would put it on cold storage and I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. And I would just wait and give it to my kids. What's that? So I was hopefully by your wife too, I guess. I mean, it's cool. So I have 2 children. I've told you all about this before, but I have 2 children, under 8 years old. And I have a nonverbal son with autism, my youngest son. And then I have my other son's 2 verbal. He's just like me. My mom used to always tell me that I was going to get it back tenfold, because I was a wild kid. But so I have 2 children. And my youngest son with autism, It's a lot. It really is. You know, it's led to my wife being full-time stay-at-home mom to be able to care for him. And he goes to a school. In fact, they forgot his tablet this morning when my wife took him to school and she was doing something. So I had to bring it up to him. It's like a communication tablet because he can't speak or he doesn't speak. But he's very intelligent. He's very, very intelligent. I would like to teach him how to read charts and things like that because children with autism, like my son, he kind of doesn't have a lot of emotional ties. And I think that could be really good for trading because you're not like, oh, yeah, it's going to go to the moon, right? It's going to go to the moon. We're all going to, could be really technical. But, so my son's school reached out and there's a church that's doing this this Saturday. They're doing something that is like they've got trained people there that are used to working with autism, and you can basically drop your kids off there. It's a church for like 3 hours, and they take siblings and stuff like that. My son's teacher is actually going to be volunteering there, and so I'm going to take my wife out. I don't know if we're going to be able to go out on Valentine's Day, but we're going to go there, man. And I'm looking forward to it. We need some time and stuff like that. You all need time, right? But it's hard because, my other son, I can have anybody watch him, right? Like, he's just a wild little boy. But with my other son, there's difficulties in that. And you don't trust just anybody with it. Let's go over. Sorry to hear that, man. It's life, bro. I'm completely blessed and fortunate to be where I am, and God wouldn't give me anything I couldn't handle. I know that for a fact. And so we get through it, man. But this makes a lot of sense right here, and this level. But what I said that all to say about BT or about Valentine's Day. So men, if you haven't planned for Valentine's Day, get your wife flowers. Even if she tells you, oh, I don't want flowers, because I made that mistake before. My wife said, oh, no, don't get me none for Christmas. I said, all right, well, I won't get none for Christmas. And then on Christmas, she's all upset I didn't get her anything. What? You told me not to get you anything. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it, guys. Get the flowers. Take her out. Call your parents. Call your friend. Whatever you have to do. Arrange somebody to watch the kids if you got kids. If you don't have kids, then you're good. But make it happen. Spend time with your wife. Spend time with your husband. Make sure you forget. Oh, look, that's my wife right here, actually. Look, crypto wifey. Buy her the dip. I mean, she's been telling me to buy Bitcoin since it was like 100K. So I don't know if I'd necessarily listen to her, but she's got the good long-term mindset and everything. You recommend Blofin, but can you recommend a dating app? No, man, I've never used one. I've never used a dating app. Never, ever, ever. But yeah, this right here just makes too much sense. And you guys got to hold me to this. When we get to this level, I want y'all to tell me, Freeman, show me your cold storage wallet, and don't tell me you got scared and didn't do it, because that's a level that I'm interested in. But what's weird is that everyone, at least on Twitter, right, and we can go look at it, but everyone's waiting for this level, right? And so we better see some kind of reaction from this level. If everybody's waiting on it, is it just us waiting on it? Like, I don't know, but it's we better see some kind of reaction out of it, and it might be some reaction. We could, like, if we go look at last cycle, let's see, if we come look over here, and my apologies when I said earlier we swept last cycle. I was talking about over here if I showed the wrong thing, but you can see we have swept. You see the dotted red line. That's where we currently are in price. So we have swept the last cycle lows. And that was another portion in my analysis of this when I originally made it, was that we would sweep the last cycle lows. And so you could see when we bottomed, it wasn't like we bottomed and just like skyrocketed up. I mean, even this, like on the daily candle, we went from 15.4 to 16.5. So it wasn't like an apparent, oh yeah, the bottom's in. There was like this grind up of, this is a weekly candle. So it was a grind up of like a month and a half. And I'm sure a lot of people were saying that this was a bear flag. Like a lot of people were probably waiting to see a breakdown from this, which would have taken it to, this is all rough, guys, but what, 13 or something like that. So a lot of people were looking at it. The bottom's hard to find. The bottom's hard to time, but we have to gauge overall sentiment. And like you can see, we've got some candles here that haven't had absolutely any relief. Let's see here. Support levels definitely appear around 60, 65. Yeah. And, that's one thing. Waiting on 58, could I be front ran? Like, should I just not be greedy and just set it at, like, say, 60.5? Let me know down in the comments below. What if it drops below that? We looking at 35 to 50? Man, it's really hard to tell, right? It's really hard to tell. If we just look at this from a chart perspective, and here, I don't want to mess up this chart because I've done a lot of work to it. So let's come to this one over here. If we're just looking at not Fibonacci levels, let's just look at structural levels. Okay. And we can stay on logarithmic. That's fine. But if we just look at structural levels of support, or support or resistance, same thing, right? A support is support until it's lost, and then it becomes resistance to get back above it. And so if we kind of just come over here and highlight these, we obviously have this one up here. This is a big one right here because it was last cycle's high, and it was also this kind of, handle on the cup and handle that we had. It was like a big bull flag that was coming out. And so losing this level or regaining this level is huge, is absolutely huge, and something that, cannot be understated. And, most of the time they say the bull market support band is the 50-week right here. And you can see we're way below it. That's currently at 100K and we're way below it. So we're a long ways from a bull market, unfortunately, but it's okay. On to the next one, right? On to the next one. We all have to be ready for that. But if we're looking at these structural levels, because the question right here was, what happens if Bitcoin drops below 60K? So if we just find right now we're at 65, I would say you have some levels somewhere in between here. So you've got this right here. You've got this right here. So this is a good example of what I meant by support and resistance being flipped. So you could see right here we had a resistance, right? It was resisted. Boom. Right here you had resistance. It came up and it wicked down. Okay. But then we broke above it. And so now this was the retest right here. And then we came down and you could see here it had became support. And so, this 48K level is a really big level. And we're going to keep this chart the way it is, the same way we're keeping the BTC chart the way it is, so that we can come take a look at this, daily or weekly, whenever we want to look at it and see. But, then if you want to look for like a really strong level, let's come back to this high right here. So this was the high from the 2017 cycle. It was also right here, support. It was then resistance right here. Then it became support right here. So that's 20K. And I don't think anybody is expecting that. It would be absolutely crazy. I hope not. I don't think so. I don't think so. Unless something structural or something major happened. And I would say we also have this in between. So this is a really good one. I can't believe I missed that. So this right here, support, support, resistance, resistance. So that's a 31.3 level. And so I'm actually, we'll keep this like this. And what I'll do is let's remove this because we're looking at downward targets. Let's remove this. Or we'll keep that because this is what we need to try to get back above. So we'll keep that green, and then we're going to turn these red, potential supports red. That way we can kind of understand what we're looking at here. And so even though psychologically I should probably change them because the lower we get, the more green I should be doing, the more excited I should be about that. 60K, people expect 35 but won't get it. So why 35 though? Like, I mean, I guess there's some level here. Like if you want to look at this right here, like kind of this range right here, I guess you could say it, 39 to 35, something in there. But, what we would need for that to happen, in my opinion, is like that Binance thing, like Binance being insolvent or MicroStrategy capitulating, going under. It's would be a lot. Let's see what else we got. That's actually brilliant. I love it. I love it. I love being called brilliant. Tell me more. Tell me. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. Let's go see how Twitter is, how the overall CT is acting. Michael Saylor is down 6.2 billion on Bitcoin. Tom Lee is down 8.1. How does Tom Lee even have a job? Like, I mean, I guess he owns it, but golly, that's crazy. Trump is selling crypto. Vitalik is selling crypto. So yeah, let's get into that. Let's get into the Vitalik part of it, because he has been selling. And let's see, let me go to, where's my bookmarks? Okay, let's go. So Trump's World Liberty is selling BTC and repaying its Aave USDC loan to avoid liquidation. So it's pretty crazy. So you can see what's going on here with the USDC and with the wrap BTC. Liquidating the president is a good start. Yeah. As the bottom of the last cycle was marked by forced selling from hedge funds, bottom of the next cycle could be marked by capitulation from developing nations. This is El Salvador as a test run. Next cycle, we could see small countries over leveraging on BTC near the top. I mean, it's possible, but I think, and this was in March of 2023. But I think what's more likely to be seen happening is that we see the DATs completely unwind, the digital asset treasury companies. And, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. And I know short term, it's hard to say that because the price action will be bad. But, there is nothing good about cryptocurrency that is supposed to be decentralized. We're supposed to be, this is for the people kind of thing. There's nothing good about, 5.5% of the supply being owned by, companies. There's nothing good about one individual or one company owning 3.5%. Like, it's just, it becomes centralized, when you start looking at it like that. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Michael Saylor and everything, because there is no liquidation on it. But at a certain point, could he be forced to sell? Could he have to sell? MicroStrategy has said before that they would sell if they had to. And they said that right before they started raising money to pay the dividends. And so let's go back, see what's going on crypto Twitter. Benjamin Cohen, bear markets suck. Yeah. They don't last forever, though. Better times will come. That's what I was saying earlier. This too shall pass. We've got to keep that mindset. This too shall pass. Let's see. What created this dump? Well, if you're talking about like today or overall, I think we have structural issues in cryptocurrency. I think that the October 10th issue, which we went over in the live stream yesterday, of basically allegedly USDE Alina stable coin depegged on Binance, causing forced liquidations across the board. I think there's some trouble there. Maybe it's Binance. Maybe that's, maybe there is, sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire. Maybe there truly is problems at Binance, but maybe it's a market maker. Maybe it's something, but something is, it's not normal. It's not normal. Whenever we look at this, if we overlay BTC with basically anything, we can overlay it with the Qs, which is, on the stock market. We can overlay it with gold. We can overlay it with the M2 money supply. Risk on assets were going up. BTC was going down. That's not normal. It's not how this normally reacts, right? And so I think macro-wise, we've had some structural problems that are going to take time to heal. There's no two ways about it. It's just going to take time to heal. However, short term, what I think's happening is, like, meaning today and yesterday, is stuff like this. Private payrolls bad job data. If we look at stock market, let's just look up stock market. Dow Jones drops 500 points. NASDAQ craters for a third day as stock sell-off gains steam. Let's go look at NVIDIA. There's a lot of fears of this AI bubble popping. And it's, maybe. I don't know. I think that I've said this before, but that we will know what happens with all of these companies soon. What's all the companies that have just slapped AI on them and they're worth billions of dollars when they're really not doing much, right? Same way about the .com bubble. When everybody posted .com stuff, right? It's like, what's really there? So let's look at NVIDIA. Okay. So if we look right here, NVIDIA is down 20%. Now, a crypto bro may be like, hey, no, that's nothing. That's a slow day. Yeah, but in the stock market, I mean, that's a lot, right? 20. So like 152 makes sense for NVIDIA potentially in their financial advice. But, when we look at that, if we come look at like Tesla, things in the Mag 7, like, I forgot I made this chart because would love an entry on this. In fact, Blofin has Tesla now, which is very interesting. And so, yeah, before we get into this a little bit, just, again, for anyone that just joined, guys, shout out to our channel sponsor, Blofin. There will be a link down below if anyone's interested. We got a campaign going on there. And if you ever want to follow my trades or come join a like-minded community, like the guys are already in here buying stuff that when I'm in the live stream, there's a WAP link down below. It's like $49, less than a cup of coffee a day. I try to keep it cheap. I see some people like $200, $300. That's crazy. And even in December, I'm the only person I think that did this. I was like, hey guys, Merry Christmas. Everybody gets a free month. Like, it's just, just treat people good and they treat you good. That's kind of my overall opinion on life, for instance. And so, like this level right here, but again, it's kind of looks like a double top for Tesla. So, we have been on a run in 22%. We've been on a run in stocks, basically for 15 years. But if you just want to go back to like right here, you can see a lot of assets since 2019 have that's a 40x in the stock market, right? Like, and so that's also going back to what is contributing to Bitcoin and to everything else dumping. If Bitcoin goes down, in my opinion, everything else is gonna, follow suit. So currently Bitcoin 66, 264. And when I made that tweet just a couple weeks ago, BTC was 96K, but there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt coming up too. ETH back to 100. Me too. I don't think it's going that low. Did you mean 1,000? Did you mean 1,000? Let me know. I don't want to eat that low. But Vitalik, this dude just has dude, you got to read the room. Okay, you've got to read the room, Vitalik. Do you see the price on the chart? And he came out a couple days ago talking about, basically that layer 2 solutions or for Ethereum, which is Base, Optimism, Arbitrum, that basically in their native form, they're not needed. Okay. And because they were needed, layer 2s were built as a scaling solution because Ethereum was expensive. Anyone that was using Ethereum in 2017 would pay $200, $300, $400, $500 just for gas fees to do a transaction. And so layer 2 scaling solutions came. And this allowed for cheaper fees where they would actually batch a whole bunch of transactions and then do them on the L1. But that's where Base came about. That's where all this came about. Well, we posted a few days ago that they're basically no longer needed in their form because mainnet Ethereum is going to be able to have the throughput and the low cost, right? And so Then he came out here, and this is very similar to Kaspa, by the way, if you take a look at it about the scaling, but he just doesn't stop. He just like keeps coming out talking about stuff. Like I said, now would be a good time just to be quiet and stop selling ETH, because you can see here ETH, Vitalik, if we look, they've been selling a lot of Ethereum. And it's like, dude, I personally feel bad if I like talk about a meme coin that goes up and I don't want to sell it because I just like feel bad. Like, and let alone this. Like, look, ETH dropped below 2,000 and his public ENS name, Ethereum name service, Vitalik.eth is selling faster. In the past 3 days, Vitalik has sold 6,183 Ethereum, 13.24 million. And he does a lot of this for philanthropy or something. I think he like donates to like, hungry hippos overseas or something. But I don't care what it's for. Like, dude, come on, read the room. Read the room. Like, what are you doing? You got to be the worst founder of all time. Like, seriously, you got to be come on. Like, read the room, dude. Read the room. This is a really good page. Look on chain, because they're able to, they post everything, whether it's a influencer selling, a big guy selling, anything, While many people are panic selling, 7 siblings is bravely buying the dip on ETH. In the past hour, they have bought 9,000 ETH at a price of 1,900. I really don't know who 7 siblings is. If you know who it is, let me know. I heard Project Vault is causing just, might just be metals. I'm not too familiar with that. This is just par for the course. Yeah, I'm kind of a LOL. I don't think that's true, by the way, but he's definitely a little quirky. Feb update, and look at the ETFs. 1-day outflow 8,000 BTC, nearly 7-day 19,000 BTC. ETH outflows, Solana outflows. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Solana ETFs were a good idea, and definitely not Solana. Like, Ethereum could potentially be deflationary if it had enough use case. Bitcoin's a finite supply, right? 21 million. Solana's inflation's 8% a year. There's been talk, Merck talked about trying to do a proposition, or however they do it, to bring it down to 4% a year. But you're talking about a very volatile asset on top of an inflationary asset. So it's kind of, yeah. Dro reposted the stream. My voodoo bro. What up? We're all screwed. Come on, Midas. You know what? Let's go look at something, because that's a good community project. I want to show y'all something. That's what I like. Some people like meme coins, some people don't. But, I'm somebody that likes good ones. And whenever you have a team that is here building in the bear market, not stopping, I just want to say shout out to them. They released an NFT. I went and bought one. I bought a 16th rarity one. I think it cost me like 30 buckaroos. My buddy Crypto Empress bought one as well to support. So check those guys out. They're a good group of people that are really trying to build a really good community on base chain, and it's on base out of everything. And so shout out to Midas. They got that Midas touch. But let's go see what else is going on over on CT and just get the overall sentiment. But oh gosh, join us 5 p.m. today for the live stream of our Q4 earnings call. We'll discuss recent BTC volatility. Wow, I'm gonna check this out. I wanna see. Going back to Solana, how far do you think we can drop? Yeah, I'll show you. I want to go to coin market cap, because I kind of want to look at the market cap versus looking at the raw price, and then I can tell you from there. But again, it's hard, because once we lose this line right here, if we lose this line, like let's just say this right here, which is, as you can see, guys, this was, kind of a long-term line. And this is market cap. This is not token price, because it's inflationary, as I've said before. But you had resistance, basically support, onwards and upwards right there. So if that level is lost, then yeah, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. This level 25, maybe. I mean, but if we look at like shorter term price action to try to find some kind of bottom, yeah, I mean, like I said, never financial advice. I don't know, but 30 to 50, maybe. I mean, it's crazy, and it really all depends on the trenches per se. I mean, whenever you look at what goes on with Ethereum, like Ethereum's for a lot of real world asset stuff, right? And Wall Street tokenizing things, institutional money, right? Whereas, like when Trump coin launched, it went up to 300, and that was based off the fact that retail was buying Solana to swap into things. And so, even in the and that's the funny thing about Solana, because even today the market's bad. Look, here's a coin. I mean, it's making like new pushes. Like this is like, let's just go to the hourly chart. You see, this is the hourly chart. It's like 20 mil, where if you look at like BTC and everything else, it's down. So this is definitely a retail chain. And, there's other things to think about, like, oh, are there tax returns coming soon? Are there going to be any kind of stimulus checks? All that kind of plays into Solana a little different than it plays into ETH. Like, yeah, ETH has trading like that, but all the volume from like retail for trading, or a lot, not all of it, but you get the point. But a large majority of it is definitely in Solana. But it's really crazy to look at this and think that this is the weekly chart, that if you are holding SOL, your bag is down 40% in the last 3 weeks. And if you just go back a little further, down 70%. But if we want to look at technicals, and this isn't the best technical looking thing because it's not even per se, but if you want to look at technical analysis, and I'll try to teach as much as I possibly can, but like a head and shoulders, normally it's pretty even, like the left shoulder and the right shoulder would be even. But if you wanted to just say this, okay, how you do this from a technical analysis perspective is you take the length of the head to the neckline and you move that to the breakout point. And so then it would be negative $58. So if you wanted Solana, they would pay you 58, right? So that's not happening, right? But it's crazy. Let's see. Gonna be a lot of people pissed off. I mean, look, like I said, guys, this is all my opinion, but the time to get out was not when there's so much uncertainty and so much fear in the market. Like the time to get out is when there's euphoria, right? Like the time to get out is when when you look at the technicals, it's pretty easy to kind of see, right? Like if you just go back historically, if you were like, hey, when RSI gets up here, I'm gone, I'm gone. That's it. You'd do pretty well, right? And historically, if you're like, hey, when RSI gets here, which is actually where we are now, you do pretty well. So following technicals, I've learned a lot about technical analysis over the last 3 years, and I've learned that don't fade the chart. The chart looks for a reason in the news and stuff for stuff to happen, but honestly, it's all in the chart. It's all in the chart. I mean, it's going to happen regardless, in my opinion. It's just the chart's just looking for an excuse for news to give it an excuse. How's Kaspa looking? Obviously down like the rest, but still, your opinion is, of course. Yeah, man. If you just joined, we covered it a little bit earlier. I mean, I think it was 2.8 cents when I looked at it. Let's go over here. This is market cap. But yeah, this is the 886 fib level right here, which is 576 mil, or that's also 2.3 cents. And so that's how it's looking right now. I actually covered that recently in this video right here. So no, it's all right, buddy. Don't worry about it, man. Go check this video out. I break it down a lot deeper right here in this video. But if you didn't see this, when your dad buys his first 0.00001 BTC, let's go see how he's capitulating. I bet this dude's shaking in his boots. It's like his first rodeo. Let's look. Cardone Capital adds more BTC at 67K. We are cash flow positive on our real estate and expect to hold both the real estate and BTC for long periods of time. We have no debt on the BTC and 5-year fixed debt on the real estate. This picture just screams like I haven't slept in 3 weeks because I'm down so bad. Cardone Capital adds BTC at 72K. Let's go. Look at this picture. You see this picture? See this picture? Ain't the same, buddy. Ooh, he was a lot happier with Sailor back then. What's funny is he's yeah, that was a funny one. Tax loss harvesting he's talking about. Nobody said it would be easy. Some of you guys are spending too much time on the files. There's no shortage of gold, silver, copper, gas, or anything. Shortages are narratives, not reality. When something gets expensive enough, we will always discover ways to create. Yeah, I agree. 10 mil at 76. So more BTCs. I mean, this guy's been pouring money into it. On Bill Clinton and the mortgage. Let's listen to this. Bill Clinton and the mortgage crisis.
The real enemy of the finance system was Bill Clinton. And if you ask me what and who caused the financial crisis, I would tell you it was Bill Clinton.
Let me know in the comments if y'all hear
because
backfeed.
Of what Bob Rubin and he did to the deregulate the financial system?
No. Because as of the last time we had our 60-minute interview, you talked to me about home ownership. And you asked me whether everyone should own a home. And I told you, no, it's too risky.
So the financial collapse of 2008 is because of hardworking African Americans, Hispanics, and whites who wanted to have a ownership stake in the society that all rests on their shoulders. They're the culprits.
No, not at all.
Okay, then
I didn't say they were the culprits. I was pretty clear it was Bill Clinton.
Okay.
Why was it Bill Clinton? Because Bill Clinton wanted to get votes from those people. And he sold them the idea that instead of renting in a house, and historically the values of houses have gone up, and he said,
yeah, I mean, he was actually right about that. Like in 2008, it was all about, they would give loans to anybody that had a heartbeat, basically. And then there were also ballooned loans. So, like adjustable rate mortgages or ARMs. And so maybe the first 2 years, it's a low interest rate, but then it's a high interest rate or, a high payment, and people couldn't afford it. And that's what caused that. And so, overall, this flush that we're seeing, I think that it's good. And why I say that is we need to let the free market do what the free market does. We need to let capitalism do what capitalism does. And when you have all these different entities injecting in that, trying to manipulate it, whether it's the Fed, whether it's, tweets from the president, whatever, I don't think it's good. We need to let the free market do what the free market does. But look, here's some more of that, fear, uncertainty, and doubt campaign. This is a guy that, BNB and Bitcoin investor, crypto veteran, obviously worked. Look, that's Aster right there. And this goes to, we reviewed earlier, the Jake Gagan thing about what, about people wanting to pay him to post bad about Binance. Look, I've decided to close my Binance account. I've supported Binance for years, defended through every cycle, but lately something feels off. Too many unexplained moves, too many coincidences, too many stories circulating behind closed doors. This wasn't an easy call. That's my line. Even the biggest names like CZ will tell. That's what's crazy. Like, is there truth behind this Binance being insolvent thing? I mean, we need to find out, and time will tell.
On digital assets. Senator, it's wonderful to have you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. First things first, can you give us an update on when you expect this legislation to happen? you lost a big window, right? After Brian Armstrong from Coinbase complained about the markup.
Well, good morning, Maria. We did lose that window, but Senator Thune, the majority leader, has assured us that even though now we're going to have to defer into the spring, that he will.
That's not good. You know, big money wants clarity, wants legislation. And the hang up with that is that banks didn't want stable coins to be able to pay yield, because if stable coins pay yield, then why wouldn't I keep all my money on Coinbase potentially and get 4 or 5% when the bank wants me to keep it with them and then pay me 0.01%? And also stable coins, due to the last legislation, which was the Genius Act, it made it a requirement for stable coins to be backed 1-to-1, which is great, right? Because if I have 10 stable coins, I want to know that there's actually $10 backing it. And they do that through buying short-term treasuries, which strengthens US dollar dominance. Okay, so that's the play with stable coins, in my opinion, is to strengthen US dollar dominance. And we went over in the live stream yesterday that, you know, banks use fractionalized lending. So if you give the bank $10, they're going to loan out $90. That's the fear of having a run on the banks, right? Everyone coming to withdrawal, they just literally don't have it. Literally don't have it. And that's the problem with that. Not sure why everyone expects us to not go down to 1 when we are in a bear market. So I agree that we're in a bear market, but what is telling you 1 cent? Like, is this a gut feel? Is this some kind of technical analysis? I'm just curious to know kind of what it is. Like, you know, because what I've went over before is that we're, you know, this is the 886 fib level. So an 88% retrace is 2.3 cents. Like, it could definitely go lower, could definitely go to 1 cent. I mean, you know, who knows? But I'm just curious what it's based off of. It's just like gut feeling or something like that. If we go look at, let's look at an asset that was, let's go look at ETH. Okay. Let's go look at ETH in the early days, like ETH bear market right here. If we take a look at that, it went from 1,300 to 80. So let's look. Let's see. How much of a drop was that? Boom. About a 93% drop. So if we come look at CAS and see that, say it repeated, 1.3 cents. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe. Could be somewhere in the 1.3 to level. Ooh, Crypto Empress just messaged me. We have a space, actually. I forgot about that. So if y'all, it's not right now, so I don't have to leave right now. But if you come look, guys, y'all could join us over on X. This Crypto Empress right here. We have a space today. I co-host these with her. See you right here. I co-host these right there, that hunk. That good looking guy. We've got one with this In Rust We Trust. He was very early in the Shiba Inu days and things like that. There's also a giveaway going on if anybody wants to come join that. Hey mate, been following you for a while now. Hope you like that Jonathan Vitalik meme I sent to your cast post yesterday, even though I stole it. Was that the one of them sitting at the table? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Or they were sitting there like that? Yeah, I did like that, man. And I did see it. Thank you very much. Hello, guys. Are we done? Is it the end? It's almost the beginning. Life's all about perspective. How do you think about it? The end of the last cycle? Yeah. Beginning of the next one. I'm here for it. Looking at liquidity and how it has dropped so far in comparison to BTC, and another past 6 months, bringing BTC to 35 to 55. Yeah, totally possible. You know, the thing I worry about most with Kaspa is hash rate, not so much price, because it is proof of work network. And so you need miners to stay online. And so if we look right here, Kaspa over the last month has held pretty steady. I'm not sure what this was, some kind of testing, some kind of something. It was weird though. But you could see the hash rate stayed pretty steady. which shows that the miners are staying online. And that's really all that's needed to keep the network secure. And, if we go back all time, when right here, because I covered this in a video, when it was 400 petahashes, the price was actually like 18 or 19 cents. And so nobody was freaking out about 400 petahashes back then. Why should we freak out about it now? You wouldn't want it to drop down like 50, under 100, because what that allows is then it's very easy. When you have a lot of computing power all around the world securing a network, whether this is Bitcoin, whether this is Kaspa, whatever it is, then, there's decentralization there. But whenever everyone turns off and there's only two big people mining, well, now you could have a 51% takeover of the network. And that's very, very bad. And so, yeah, the hash rate's the most important thing that I am currently looking at. And whenever we were up here at the top, I made a video where I actually drew a fib, and I was like, yeah, it would make sense for it to go between 400 and 600 petahashes. And we did kind of find support around the 600 range, and now we're at the 400 range area. But guys, I think the number one thing we can do is, like I said, there's a lot of fluff in the markets. You've got a lot of altcoins that we've reviewed over the last 2 days when we went over the top 100 altcoins. Those are on X and YouTube still, those live streams that are taking up a lot of room, a lot of liquidity. And honestly, a lot of them don't even need to exist. And I think that liquidity will concentrate once that happens. Like somebody was talking about Polkadot earlier. I mean, this is a 2-point-something bill. That's how much liquidity it's taken up of the overall market cap of crypto. So say crypto's 2 trillion, that's a decent chunk of it, especially when you look at other altcoins like Kaspa, that's 30% of this size. However, Polkadot only has less than 100 mil in stable coins. So it's like, what's actually going on? Is anybody using this thing, or is it just vaporware? And I think the answer is it's vaporware. Long-term odds hoping cast to fulfill its prophecy. Yeah, solving the trilemma. Well, guys, we're going to wrap that up for today. I love you all. I totally appreciate you. Like I said, shout out to our channel sponsor, Blofin. You can join down below using my link if you want. If you want to join a community, I also have a WAP link down below where you can join like-minded people, and we can absolutely have a good time and just talk and just be around like-minded people. And I go over all my trades. None of it's ever financial advice, but it's just what I am doing. And make sure you subscribe over on YouTube and join me over on X. I post a lot of funny stuff. I'm me on X. Whatever I feel, I'll post it, man. You're gonna get the truth out of me, one way or the sellers are exhausted. The sellers, that's funny. But guys, we will see you tomorrow, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I love you all, and let's leave with this: we are doomed. No, we aren't. We're gonna be back, guys. Take it easy. Love you.